So when I was 18, I thought I had it all figured out. I knew what I was doing professionally. I knew myself super well. And then I was in Adelia's dressing room, bawling my eyes out, with my mom on the other side of the door going, Katie, are you okay? I open the door, tears staining my face, and I show her my phone with the email from Purdue saying, hey, it's the end of your freshman year. You have been kicked out. Whew. My mom, being the champion that she is, immediately took me in the car, and we drove over to the Ivy Tech, where I signed up for classes. And moral to the story, I got back into Purdue, spring of my sophomore year, and all thanks to Ivy Tech, great school. So a few months after I got back to Purdue, I ended up getting a job at the West Lafayette Public Library. And that is where I created the best family I have ever made. There were a bunch of queer women that took me under their arms and said, we're getting you through school. And along this route, they also sparked my love of libraries again, something I lost somewhere in my angsty preteen years and never got back. I took this love of libraries with me to a study abroad. It was an LGBTQ health and equality study abroad. I'd always considered myself an ally. I mean, I was an English major, so I read queer literature. I took intro to LGBTQ courses, and I'm like, why not? I want to be a better ally. Let's go on this trip. So I did. While we were there, we were in Scotland and Ireland, we went to a bunch of libraries and archives, and this was my bread and butter, as I found out. I peppered them with questions. If you don't know anything about archives, it's okay. But I'd ask them, how do you get these things? How often do you get donations? Are these open to the public? Can I take pictures? So, of course, the study abroad ended. I came back. 5 days later, I was to graduate from Purdue with my Bachelor of Arts in English. Turns out I had no idea what I was doing after I graduated. And, well, I graduated, and a few weeks later, I was sitting in my parents' house in my lime green and Pepto-Bismol pink room and going, what am I doing with my life? When I was on that study abroad, though, my professors had planted this seed for me, like, why don't you go to a master's program? Like, well, first of all, you know my GPA is not that great. I got kicked out. Second of all, like, why would anybody take a chance on me? But staring at those walls, I decided, you know what? I'm going to take the GRE. And I got 2 awesome recommendation letters, one from my librarian, one from one of the professors. And here I stand. I am at Indiana University for my Master's of Library program. And I decided that I wanted to be a bigger part of this IU community and the Bloomington community. So I ended up joining a professional organization, the Society of American Archivists. And I also signed up for the Q newsletter, which I then saw that they had a call out for a thing called Grad Queers, which is just a social organization for graduate students. I'm like, yeah, I'm a good ally. I am going to go to this meeting. And I did. I got off work at Wells, and I was walking to the LGBTQ library center. The meeting was in the library. And it was the longest 15-minute walk of my life. It's really not that far of a walk, partially because I got lost. It was my first few weeks, okay? When I got to the center, I just planted my feet and stared at that door for what felt like probably 5 minutes, going, why am I so scared to go into this room? Eventually, I did it. I walked up the stairs, walked into the library. We were just sitting in a nice little circle. And we started introductions. I was about midway through. I was sweating bullets as everybody started introducing themselves. And what came out of my mouth when they got to me surprised even me. It went something like this. Hi, my name is Katie Lichtle. I use pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm bi. They all waved and moved on. Meanwhile, I'm having an existential crisis in that chair. What just came out of my mouth? And then I thought about it for 5 minutes before we got to the end, and I realized for 24 years of my life, I had buried something very deep down, and I felt light as a feather when I got out of that meeting. And since, I've told some very important people in my life. I've told my mom, who took it like a champ, like she's taken everything else. My partner, he's been the most supportive I could have ever asked for. So Indiana has truly blessed me. I am now a mentor to an amazing freshman, LGBTQ freshman, and I'm about to graduate in May with my Master of Library Science degree. So I found my profession at Purdue, and I found myself at IU.